even if they do offer a free way to file, which I believe they absolutely should the average person trust that free filing, or should they use an online preparation, or should they get somebody to do it for them? Speaking of taking a year off or a couple years off, TurboTax maybe done. I don't know. Can you interpret this story? Have you read it?
I haven't read the story, but I've been wondering for a long time why we haven't been able to file our taxes for free through the federal government, right? I mean,
Right.
It's not like ADP and or any other payroll service provider doesn't automatically already handle all of your 1099 information and K-1s. All that stuff has to be done by the big corporations anyway. Why wouldn't it all be able to be aggregated?
I always assumed it was lobbying.
Yeah, of course. Right. It's the same thing, same reason there's not a flat tax, right? It's like ultimately it's because of all the noise out there. And it's like, oh, you 20% of Warren Buffett's money, so flat tax. It's going to get them more than it's going to get you. Anyway, long short story is that I think that TurboTax went to their free subscription, right? Remember, for a long time, it's been free if you use their basic service. And then if you want additional help, I was thinking it was like they're probably getting squeezed by the government. And it's probably still not enough. And so the government's like, fine, let's just go ahead and open up our own. But they've had a great monopoly, as far as I'm concerned, or oligopoly on electronic free tax returns.
I see why they wouldn't do it. I mean, it is government software. There's going to be something going wrong.
No.
They thought they could bill healthcare.gov for $1 billion. When that first came out, I was in the IT industry, and I would just ask every good developer, I said, do you think you could have built healthcare.gov to work, to connect to all 50 states and do it right? And they're like, no. I was like, what if I gave you $1 billion? They're like, well, I'd try. But what if you only got paid if it worked? They're like, no.
Not taking it on.
It was impossible to do. We had mainframe stake. There was so much that was going on. Only a politician would say we could build that and have it function immediately. So it was. It's the same kind of thing. Well, it seems like an easy thing to do, but
the vast majority of the people that do tax returns, it's W-2 employee.
Yep.
It's all standard. It's super easy to enforce. Already press it and forget it. You're probably going to get your money back. Most of it at the end of the day. And then you had to pay $300 to $500 to either a regular accountant or to somebody over at one of the major small tax return preparers. Yeah.
So I mean,
120.
here's my thing, right? And because I've seen some really squirrely stuff with the IRS in the last few years. Even if they do offer a free way to file, which I believe they absolutely should the average person trust that free filing, or should they use an online preparation, or should they get somebody to do it for them?
As a professional, I am a huge fan. I don't care if you are a W-2 employee, generally speaking, once you get to a certain level of wealth or money that's coming in and you have any roots, whether it's a house or something that generates something you may be able to work with, I always say use a professional. But that professional, I'm not, I'm going to refer somebody, right? Or I'm going to work with, it's not just going to be one of the box stores, right? I believe that you should use a professional. If you can collect X back for free from the government, you can believe that someone who's a professional that does this for a living is going to find a way to use all those tax books that are probably, I can't even imagine how much space they take up,
right,
to find ways to help you get more money back. So yeah, I'm a huge believer in using a professional, but I'm not a huge fan of using just like, if you're just going to use TurboTax, or if you're going to use something like that, you may as well use the government's version. But if you're at a point where you actually really do have K-1s, or you have a small side business or something like that, yes, absolutely go to a professional.
So it's funny you say that, because I got slammed with a bill from the IRS from 2020. And I hired a professional at that time, and she used TurboTax to fill out my taxes.
What?
Yes.
Well, I would have said, okay, I'm done with you.
No, of course. Yeah, but this was like recent. So I just got the bill like maybe last year. So what did I have to do? I had to go back and fix everything she did, but I had to go to a professional. So I went to H&R Block, and I'm just like, hey, can you help me fix this? And it was the simplest
Mhm.
things that she was doing wrong on TurboTax. I'm like, well, if you were going to do TurboTax, I could have done TurboTax.
Yeah, so there's professional versions of all that software. There's Lacert, which is actually owned by, they're all affiliated, like QuickBooks of Lacert,
Right.
all these different tax preparation software. They've got the industrial version, and then they've got the regular person version. So
Just
you
because they're
shouldn't be
professional
using.
and they have that
No,
doesn't
but
mean
they
they're not going
know
to mess it
they
up.
need to know how to use it. Right.
That
I
one
think
year
it's
when they forgot
insane.
my kids,
Uh-huh.
Oh my
and the
God.
bill was surprising. Every year they'd had kids didn't disappear that year.
Yeah.
They just brought a new guy in, and the new guy didn't know it, didn't look before. It got filed. I'm
Exactly.
like, wow, that's
So-
an expensive cracks credit.
hmm
If you have 2 kids to miss all of that
hmm
when you're filing, yeah.
Yeah.
Oops.
I
Yeah.
think it's just
Yeah.
so important to make sure you have a great referral to a tax professional and
Yeah. The
really
amount of
do your due diligence.
the amount of
on-
money between using somebody from a small doing it yourself, first of all, maybe not great depending on what your situation is, but if you think you have a complicated situation, you probably should go see somebody.
Yeah.
If you don't have if you know you don't have a complicated situation, then you could probably do it yourself.
Yeah.
It's not that complicated.
Yeah.
You can upload the documents. It's actually pretty easy. But if you think you might have a complicated situation, go see somebody. It's going to be a few $100 and
Yeah.
it could save you such misery and heartache.
Mhm.
Believe me, you don't want to deal with the IRS. It's Thurgood Marshall said it whenever he said that the IRS, there was case law. The IRS is like the only court in the land where you were guilty until you're proven innocent,
Mhm.
period. The power to tax is the power to destroy.
Mm-hmm.
You want to talk about the Eye of Sauron.
Yeah.
Woo. You don't want to get into
think
an
it's
audit
pretty
with the
sore.
IRS because there's so many layers and they don't know
Mhm.
what they're doing. Each agent's going to come after you individually and separately because this is a corporate return. You have to talk to that department. There's an individual. Oh, well, but you also did that. Just hire someone for a few $100 and just let them do it
Yeah,
for you.
it's
And make
been
sure
a
they're
headache.
good. If they don't pass the sniff test, don't use them.
But
You
you don't
find out
know
they're
where
using
to, you don't
QuickBooks,
know
don't
who
do
to
it.
trust anymore. I
hard.
mean, like I said, I went to H&R Block, and by the second meeting, she's like, "Oh, our systems aren't working, so we're gonna mail it in." It's been 7 weeks. Every time I call the IRS, they don't have any information.
Of course not.
So what professional are we looking for now? That's
It's
the
harder.
question.
Well, once it gets to the IRS, you're in trouble. Each professional that works and is actually registered to work with the IRS,
Right.
they have a hotline. They actually have a hotline to call the IRS, which instead of being an hour and a half is like 30 minutes on hold.
Mhm.
So they can call that hotline and find out where you are better than you
Mhm.
will.
So I'm just gonna have to go make a stop at H&R Block now after this.
There
Right.
you go.
Thank you for reminding me of all my tax issues.
That's what I do here. It's public service. Hey, thanks for watching The Merge. We've got a ton more stuff for you to watch on YouTube, on Instagram, on TikTok, everywhere. Check us out.